Welcome to the Done Right podcast by NVI, filled with industry leaders, success stories, testimonials from NVI inspectors, and so much more. NVI is a nationwide industrial solutions provider that believes in getting the job done right. Listen in to our monthly podcast to learn more about NVI, the non-destructive testing industry, and why we believe in putting our people first.
Lee Hulin here with NVI. I'm a level 2 in phased array UT, magnetic particle and dye pen. Also hold a AWS CWI. Sitting across from Jordan Cable. How you doing, buddy?
Oh man, I'm doing good. Jordan Cable. I've worked at NVI for 11, 12 years now, something like that. I'm a triple certed API, 510, 570, 653, hold level 2s, level 1 GUL. We do a lot of things here.
Yeah, we sure do, man. Jordan, it's just hearing you say all that, man. Congratulations on all that, because I remember you and I remember we were just some wee little lads in the business, man. 12, 13 years ago, and we swapped out equipment a few times and worked on some jobs together. And to hear you, say all that, man, that's quite an accomplishment. What's it been like, the progression to get there, man? I mean, the work you had to put in and the mindset and the vision. How did you? That's quite a feat, man.
It is. It seems like at this point, in our industry, it's getting we're getting an influx of a lot of inspectors, and I feel like how you do it is a lot more important than that you did it.
Right. How
you pass these tests and how you go about your career and how you attack it. I'm pretty proud of that aspect.
Yeah, definitely.
The certifications. To be honest with you, anybody can hold those certifications. All you have to do is pass a test, and we can see a lot from all these plants that keep going up and all these incidents that keep happening around the country that not all of us
definitely
need to be holding them. So I take
you take pride in it. You always did, man. That's awesome. Congratulations.
And you as well, man. You've accomplished a ton in your time. Truly an impressive resume.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Talking about that a little bit, it's kind of like you get stagnant, if you will. Excuse my French. I got my CWI in a time where I was just feeling a little stagnant. I just felt like, my peers were doing a few things, and, I was doing so much, and I just got it to go out and get it, make myself feel a little accomplishment. NBI supported me the whole way, didn't flinch, and, paid for the classes, and I remember doing it, and it was a good experience, and I'm glad I hold it. I think I'm going on 7 years now having it.
That's a heck of an
accomplishment. It's awesome, but having said that, man, phased array that was my point now. It's kind of just took everything away. I've dedicated so much to that, and that's kind of been my focus. Doing phased array, I enjoy it. When you enjoy it, I enjoy everything, but when I literally enjoy that so much, I've always enjoyed ultrasonics.
That's what's so good about our industry, though, isn't it? The fact that
it is true.
You can spend years looking for something that you truly enjoy, and then there's so many little different avenues you can take, so many different methods you can pursue, so many different things you can do. To take someone like me or like you to come and start going through this and getting on jobs that we can really enjoy, that really pay a tremendous amount of money. I mean, you consider doctors, that they make less than us most of the time.
Yeah,
police officers get shot at to do their job and make a quarter of what we make. It's insane. Teachers.
Yeah, definitely. And the police and teachers, that's another, you mentioned all those together, and it's jobs that we respect, and we respect every job and every trade. But we've had this conversation before. We're pretty thankful. I mean, I'm glad I didn't know anything about it. I literally looked at a friend of mine that was doing it. Man, looks like he's doing pretty well for himself years ago, and see him pushing a little probe and some sound waves, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And I was intrigued by it, and I'm glad I pretty much stumbled upon the business. Now it's out there. The only thing I regret was when I was in the military, I wish I could have. I didn't even know NDE existed at that time. I wish I could have gotten into it then. Maybe learned a little bit more about mil specs and just kind of got in there a little bit earlier. But there's so much out there now where people can, and hopefully this will shed some light on some things. But I wish we had this going on when, I was younger.
Well, you're not kidding. Huh?
Oh, man.
It would be a different world today if we had people that would actually talk and share about the business.
You just
Nobody back then, everybody I know that I learned from, you had to almost drag information out of them kicking and screaming.
Yep.
Now, it seems to me like a lot of us have come up and we had to learn things the hard way, and we're just about over learning things the hard way.
Exactly what you said, though. You hit the nail on the head. I remember, trying to extract information out of the technician that I was working with, underneath, so say to try to learn ultrasonics, and it was like a Jedi mind trick to try to get information out of him. And I later understood as well that a lot of that was, lack of knowledge, and this industry has progressed so much, and if you don't progress with it, and you got a lot of old school guys, man, who
how many people did I think were geniuses coming up?
Oh yeah, really just didn't really.
They didn't know a whole lot, but perception is everything in this
definitely.
business.
Well, I always say it. When you learn things like that, you can always learn by seeing the wrong way as well too, and I think, I hate to say it, but that did help me a lot. Another thing too, being humble, man. I mean, how many times I've called you or you've called me?
Absolutely.
Work on your peers. That you got to lose your ego in this business. A lot of people. Absolutely perfect, man. And I've always done that. No matter who I'm working to, if I'm working next to a guy that's been doing it for 2 years or 10 years. If I have a question or I see him doing something a little different, or I'll open my mouth, and I think that's gave me a little edge coming up. No matter, just humble, wipe the slate clean. If I can learn something from a newer guy or even a more experienced guy, I've always just kept that humbleness about me. And
I've had helpers teach me some pretty humbling lessons. You know what I mean? These kids come out of college and they're super smart in a math equation I've been doing for forever the long way. They're like, well, why don't you do it this way? And shorten it up by 10 minutes.
I think that's the beauty of it, though. I mean, and in my opinion, a good technician, a good person in general, but a good tech's going to pick the things that he wants from certain people. I've picked things from you. You may have picked things from me.
Plenty of things from you.
People I've worked with, continue to work with, I always take little bits and pieces, from them and just sharpen up.
So you find your own way of doing it.
That's it, man. That's it. But overall, it's been a nice little road, and it's just sitting across from you now, man. That's years ago, man. Of course we see each other here and there.
It's nostalgic almost.
But
man.
to
Let's
hear
your
certs and going back to the APIs, when did you make up your mind? I know you was doing the RT, UT, you was doing a little bit of everything, and then you chose to go the EC route, and man, you just took off, and the rest is history.
I did. I started off doing, shooting a little fab and shooting some pipelines and doing that stuff, and I found out real quick that wasn't the route I wanted to take necessarily.
Right.
And then we started doing mechanical integrity work a little bit more, and I got to use my brain, and I got to move around, and I started learning some things.
Your drawing skills got really sharp.
My drawing skills got sharp. You started learning P&IDs, and you started learning, spec breaks, and started learning the flow of a plant, and it's truly an interesting thing. And then you get into damage mechanisms where you start learning what different types of mechanical damage you can have, what type of corrosion damage you can have, what type of cracking you can have, in what different environments. You
it's
can
more
learn
in depth
something
each time.
every day. You learn something every single day, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, true.
But I didn't necessarily want to be working with my back all the time, so I kept working hard, and I kept trying to take my API exams. And I remember being scheduled for it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
I was scheduled for it 5 or 6 times, and then finally got to go take it. But I was running turnarounds as a level 2. I mean,
Well, that's the thing too. Trying to juggle all this stuff. That's why it's not just a feat in itself, but to try to juggle it between work and your personal life and family and everything else. Having to study and go to these classes. So I mean, to pass it, it's got to be a good feeling though.
It is, and it was a big accomplishment.
Definitely.
I remember feeling physically sick waiting for the first test results to come through. Whenever it started buffering.
I can relate.
I can't remember ever being nervous for a test in my life. Generally, because when I was younger, I didn't care if I passed or failed. Now, I mean, that's your kids. That's your livelihood.
It's true. And
I remember the first time getting
too,
submit on those answers and watching that buffer go around my stomach sank. And it said preliminary pass, and I was about the happiest guy I could be.
I bet, man.
And then I decided to go take a couple more just because I knew I would regret it if I didn't. And I'm pretty happy right now. I'm
so where you at now? Triple Cert API and all your other ND certifications. Where do you see yourself? I mean, that's quite an accomplishment already. But I know a lot of times, we go and we keep on. We always want more. And we always want to, we don't want to be stagnant. So say
that's true.
I mean, not that you haven't. I mean, you have so much stuff. Do you ever see yourself acquiring some other certifications or going a different route? I mean, what's in it for you in the next 5 to 10 years?
There are days I do. There are days I certainly do. But I mean, most days at this point in my life, I mean, my kids are getting older.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my wife and I are in a great place. You know, we better than we ever have been.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty happy right now.
So you're just kind of enjoying it, right?
Yeah,
Rightfully so.
It's one of those moments that you pray for in life, that you can turn around and look back at what you've accomplished and be happy.
Definitely.
Be truly happy. And that's a hard thing. Not many people can say that.
No, that's true.
And NVI gave me that opportunity.
Yeah, I remember, man. You know,
I should be nothing according to the world, you know?
Right. Well, that's, you know, like I said earlier, you know, coming up and, you know, we both came up and every time we'd talk, you know, we can touch on that a little bit. But, man, I can't remember one phone call. Sure, there might have been somewhere you was tired or you was, you know, this or you was maybe. But I've never got an ounce of negative vibe from you whatsoever. And I think that says a lot, you know, positivity. There's a lot of negative stuff going on, you know, in the world, in the industry. You know, all this, you know, 401k, stocks up, down, politics.
Insurances, benefits,
everything.
Stock splitting, and
Exactly. So, I mean, to try to keep and stay positive and stay focused, man, it's really difficult sometimes. I find myself struggling with that as well. But, you know, you dig deep, and I think it all goes back to enjoying what you do and who you work for.
That's it.
And nothing against any other company. You know,
No,
I've worked for one previous before this one when I started. And, you know, I'm here to tell you they are not all built the same, but in the most respectful way possible. I think there's levels, and I think the people, you know, have a lot, you know, people at the company, people who, you know, work there or employed there. You've been here yourself for a while. I think myself is a wee bit longer, not much, if at all.
Yeah, you got a year or two on me.
Yeah,
maybe.
not much. So, I mean, I've seen the progression of the business, you know, technology, but even just in, you know, the schematics of the office. And, you know, I mean, we became very departmentalized, and I remember it being more of a mom and pop vibe. But having said that, when I go to the office, I still feel that vibe.
Exactly.
They know my name, and know who I am. I give people hugs, and to me, man, I don't care. That's hard to beat, buddy.
How many people can walk into their office and hug people around the neck every single day? As a matter of fact, I heard today, just today, somebody came in, and I hadn't seen this guy in a while, and he was sitting there telling me that he had got his level 2s in UT. And I was ecstatic for him.
Right,
you know, I'm hugging his neck. I'm proud of him. I'm trying to tell him what a great accomplishment that is. And he says, yeah, man, you know, I went to go in there and take it, and I couldn't find a babysitter. I couldn't find my mom. Everybody was busy and this and that. He's a young guy, you know, he's got all the potential in the world. And he said, man, I couldn't find anybody to watch my little girl. So he said, I just called the office and saw if I could bring my little girl into the office. The guy took his level 2 test with his girl on his knee.
That's awesome.
What kind of company can do that for you? I mean, I know people, everybody's proud of their companies and this and that, but mine is truly a family organization.
Oh man, I love it. You know, and you know, when you're in the military, it's you say your social security number many times, and here to tell you, man, it's definitely nice to not be, you know, I don't feel like a social. I feel, you know, definitely got a family vibe, but it's all about business too.
Absolutely.
You know, I love it. I love the whole business aspect of it, and you know, I guess growing and evolving with a company. There's been people that have been in the company in positions of power who maybe you know didn't get along with at first, or had some. I think that's everywhere, man. And you know, you got to make a decision. You got to make a hard decision. And I chose to grow and get to know these people. And if they're coming from another company and then now they work for us,
Absolutely.
You know, we're all under the same team. And I think that's helped a little bit too, you know, not judging and being open-minded and trying to evolve and progress with the company versus,
Absolutely.
You know, do your own thing. And of course, you know, same thing with you, certifications like that. There's job offers flying in all the time and all kind of stuff.
All the time.
And that's always going to be the place, but I always, you know.
And it's flattering, and it's great, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel a sense of accomplishment. But in all honesty, now I've done this for quite a while now, and my favorite part of this job is training the guys coming up behind me because I know I didn't have that coming. I mean, I did, but it was not on the same caliber. It was not on the same level. When I came up, it was completely different. The whole industry has changed.
Yeah, we barely had a phone a friend. You know what I mean? Not too many lifelines to reach out to.
Exactly. What did you have? 2 people that you knew could answer a question. The rest of them would give you the same stutter and I don't know. The whole industry has changed.
It feels good though. It feels good to be able to have that support system. You know, like I know if there's to have that insurance. If you're on a job, I mean, look, if you're doing something, you scanning something, you're shooting something, you're making a call. man, there's a bunch of people with expertise and experience, and we've got their phone numbers, their cell numbers. We can text them, we can call them. That support system, man, that gives us definitely an edge, We never had that. So
there's
I guess
still
going
some
from that.
There's still some people trying to hang, don't want to let,
For
they want to
sure.
hold things tight to the vest, but it's not as much anymore.
No, it's not. You
And
used
I
to
tell
have
you
to.
what, the potential of the kids coming up behind us being a lot more advanced in technology.
Definitely.
Being a lot more, they play video games growing up their whole life. I mean,
No,
I grew up in the woods.
see it
I was
too.
a little different, but these kids truly have potential that's through the roof.
I agree with you. I see it a lot too, man. I've experienced it on people coming on jobs who I was, maybe going to train in shear wave or, this, that, and the other phased array, and very, very sharp, man. Put you,
Absolutely.
make you check yourself, and they come out, and I think it has a lot to do with being eager and hungry for it too.
Exactly.
And if you enjoy what you do, like you said earlier, you become to be pretty passionate about it.
Right.
I mean, we all get lax and complacent and stuff like that, but this is truly a job where when I wake up in the morning, man, I'm excited to put my steel toes on and go to work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's 100%.
That's kind of what I like about this industry. This industry, it doesn't seem like it, but our job is to be, the gatekeepers. We're the ones that make sure nothing bad happens to anyone else. We're the shepherds of the industry, kind of.
Yep.
I like the fact. Well, I would put it to you this way: when I'm training guys and I bring them into a new plan and I'm explaining things to them, I normally know everybody around me. I get to meet everybody really quickly. And my favorite part to tell them is when you walk in the door, try to make friends with people. And everybody always thinks that that's because it boosts your business. That's because it gets your clientele up and they get to where they can depend on you. And that's not necessarily true. It does help. It absolutely helps. I've made an entire career out of boosting clientele. But if you can look at everybody there as a friend, not just as someone else walking around,
No, that's
you
true.
take your job a whole lot more seriously when your friend is walking past it than just somebody you don't know.
I agree with you 100%. I mean,
and you're starting to see it.
building relationships too. I mean, I know jobs you've been on where I maybe was on, and when people remember, oh yeah, and they bring that person up, or like you said, you're on a job and you actually are picking up additional work from even sometimes other clients within that facility.
Sure.
That happened to us on a job in 2010. I'll never forget. And they just seen what we were doing. Everybody was positive. And I remember that guy saying, hey, every time, thank you. Every time I encountered one of MVI's personnel, they were always polite, respectful, and then that goes a long way.
Yes,
so I mean,
does.
the relationships and look, one of the things I always said was you can go on a job and do well, but to be called back on a job and get that repeat, that be back business, to me that's the ultimate compliment. Your name requested. I mean, how many times do clients just call you off the record, hey man, and asking, they picking your brain,
Absolutely.
they want to know.
Nearly every day.
That's what I'm saying. So it goes a long way. It definitely makes you feel good. We had to earn it, and we got to keep it. You're only as good as your last job. But I'm glad, the three letters on our shirts definitely makes me proud. I know it does.
It makes me proud to work for a company that actually cares.
Absolutely.
I mean, and I'm one of the few people I think in this industry that can truly say that. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing for people to understand.
No, it really is.
That when they're used to being a number to somebody, and that we require excellence out of our guys. We really do. But we give them family in return.
Yeah, a lot of tools too.
They can lean on us as much as we lean on them.
They treat things as just a job, and that's fine too. Look, you're gonna have some people that they want to do certain things. They want to show up. They'll do the job well.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, they're gonna leave it behind, and it's a job to them. May not go above and beyond and go the extra mile, and that's fine
and
too.
There's places for people.
There's places for that people. One thing we spoke about before, was judgment. I mean, it's one thing I found in this industry and for MVI is that you don't really get judged. Everybody's always open arms. They hear what you have to say. They listen. You have a concern, you can address it. Open door policy, that's really exists.
I can walk into my owner's office today at any point.
Yes, and man, I got to tell you, I don't even know the head count on our employees now. What we have, I know it's
got to be over 400.
It's over 400. And I still get that same vibe to an extent, that open door policy. If I have concerns, I can address it. It makes you very grateful.
It does.
that's why, you hear people around you, other companies or your peers, and, you talk to old T-Bob on the pipeline working for XYZ inspection, and it's negative, and boy, it makes you even, not that you need that, but it really does put things in perspective and make you be even more grateful than, what you normally are. I don't take it for granted, I'll tell you that.
No. It's a heck of an accomplishment.
Yeah.
It really is. For us, like I said, everything that I need and everything I want is there. And I mean, it's truly a good thing.
I agree.
I'm happy about it. And I couldn't be more happy than to be here, than to be working at MBI.
Yeah, I agree, man.
All right, so Lee, why is NDT so important to you? What about it resonates with you? What kept you here?
Well, that's probably a few-part question, but to be specific, we talked about the family vibe, the company, and all that stuff. But
right. Well, what about NDT
just the actual NDE itself? I guess it's just intriguing. I mean, the things that we do and the welds that we inspect. I mean, me personally, if I'm checking a bottle rack or I'm scanning a BOP with phase array, I treat it the same. I enforce the code. It gives me a sense of accomplishment, pride, and for me personally, I think back to a time where, as we said earlier, we didn't have that support system. Nobody I could call and ask. It really was a tough time for me because I remember at one point, I remember scanning things and getting real hard in the UT, and just there's certain things you want to be able to ask, bevel configurations. What's this echo? Have you seen this before? And we just really didn't have that. It's 15 years ago.
You didn't have a sounding board. You couldn't talk.
Correct.
To anybody.
So, and then you would ask somebody. So me now, just having that confidence, it hasn't been. I guess it's an accomplishment for me to get over, personal things, just to be able to tackle the trade and to have that confidence. Now, granted, I'm always going to have that humble mind, but when I know when I turn that unit on and when I'm doing something, as I used to worry, basically what I'm getting at is your first couple of years when you break out and you're doing UT, I just remember it being, I was confident, and, I just didn't have that quite the confidence that I had wanted or thought I had, and now being able to reach out and all those things is just to enjoy where I'm at now in my personal career, my personal progression.
Right.
I guess you could say, to me, that keeps me going. Again, in short, I think about where I was and where I came from and where I'm at now, and why it might not be nothing to somebody else, but I'm one that I can admit I fell. I almost put it down and was, a little frustrated, and you checking some of those hard configurations, and a lot of those
stuff can be tough, man.
A lot of those critical welds, tough. Man. I remember, hearing the backstory and checking a 4-foot pad. It's got to, lift X amount of pounds, and it's a very critical call, and everybody's waiting on you to check it, and you got to have that confidence, and back then,
you got to have that integrity too.
You do. And
I mean, because there's a lot of times there's people screaming down your neck, and it's really easy to do something that you're not supposed to do.
You're right.
But that integrity, because, I mean, in all honesty, think of the repercussions.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's something we've always had drilled into our head, is the repercussions.
And I did think about all that, and, some people might just, hey, UT okay, and do this. I mean, that's another conversation, but, coming up in the industry, everybody does things differently. And for me, it was never in doubt or never in question. If I was not 100%, I called somebody. I got the help I needed.
Absolutely.
And I just, again, I think back.
It's not worth somebody's life.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think NDT in general is so important.
Itself keeps me going as well.
I mean, take us out of the equation. I mean, yes, NDE makes me feel great. When I can make a call and I know that I saved possibly somebody from being hurt. I saved possibly a part from failing. I saved some catastrophic failure in the future. It makes me feel good.
No, it does.
But take you and I out of the equation. If we're not there, somebody's got to come in our shoes. And if there's nobody there to do that, there's people getting hurt. We're back to 20s and 30s again.
Right.
We're back to wooden pipelines and people dying daily.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, the oil spill is such a tragic thing, and we had that go down.
Horizon.
I mean, look, everything's, we're all humans. Everybody makes mistakes, and, I don't know the ins and outs of that.
That's a pretty catastrophic mistake.
Exactly, but my point is I think about things like that, if I'm checking something and what this is doing, but it's always resonated with me ever since the beginning. I wanted to be able to overcome whatever I had to do personally to be able to do that. I knew the end game was me being able to do that, make that call, be confident. I mean, I went from, just coming up with nobody to call, literally, hey, putting it down, taking a step back, guys, like, you can't give me the proper guy. And you know what? This was years ago, and it was like, absolutely, we can and we will. And people appreciated me saying, hey, I need help here.
Right.
And
I think that's what separates the good technicians from the great technicians.
I agree. You can't
the
know
great
it all.
technicians are never scared to ask for help.
Absolutely.
Especially because they know what happens if they don't.
I mean, looking back at that now, that basically, if I had to sum up that question after that, I would say just knowing where I was then and where I'm at now, my confidence level and my experience. They say it's hard to take away a man with experience. And we've seen a lot, we've done a lot, and now you walk up to something. I've walked up to a job and 458 inches. Circumferential and called the whole thing bad non-fusion and turned around and walked away and it was all good. It's just that confidence, and making these calls. So to me, it's the scope of work that we do, what we're doing, who's benefiting from it. I can say the people and stuff like that, even the relationships, you and I mean, we became friends through this job.
Oh, absolutely.
Called you many a times. You've called me many a times, on the clock, off the clock. And I'm sure you have people like that as well. So just in general, man.
When it comes to anything advanced UT, you are essentially my first call.
I appreciate it. And I know I rang your phone quite several times, but I guess that would be it, man. That's what keeps me going, and I always think about, I'm 6 feet 4 inches, but I think about Little Lee,
right.
coming up in the circuit, just trying to learn, trying to find his way, and we really didn't have those resources. A lot of people didn't. People from other companies were calling me, and now you look back at it and the support system we have in place,
it's so
the level
stronger.
3s.
So much stronger.
I can call Jason right now, Todd, anybody, anybody in the company essentially to answer what I need answered. And that means a lot. It really does.
It's a new day out here. It's a completely new world. What would you say is your favorite part of this job? I mean, I'm everybody normally says the paycheck, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, it's great. I already discussed mine being training guys. I love that part. That's when you see it click, when you see them understand not just what we do, but why we do it.
Right.
This is why I do things this way, because this leads to this, which makes this safe, and this is how I find it. This is what I do. This is the order I take. And when they understand not just what they're doing, but why, that's my favorite part.
Right.
What's yours?
So, that's actually an excellent answer, and I can, feel that 100%. I also enjoy doing that and training people, and it's always nice when you got people that come in there and you can show them things. And, another thing, too, people being appreciative. But I guess if I had to sum it up, it's really a hard question. And not to sound cliche, but I love so much about it. I mean, from the simple things, it might sound funny, but I enjoy putting on a pair of steel-toe boots in the morning. That's me. I mean, just to be 100% about it. Going to work, also, to me, it's all about the impressions and the relationships. So when I go, if I step foot on your job site and you don't know anyone, or you're meeting a new client and you're working for someone new, I enjoy that ice-breaking moment. I enjoy, we got salespeople in place, and they work really hard to get these jobs and these projects. So the last thing I want to do is lose one. I've never got ran off a job, and I don't intend to. Yes. But my whole thing is going there and just representing NVI, man, to be honest with you. Going on that job, breaking the ice, meeting the client, doing a good job. There's satisfaction in that, period. You can't tell me there's not.
That are quite as good as you are at that part, I can promise you.
Well,
I don't know if you've ever had a bad review in your life. It makes most of us sick, man.
Well, I enjoy that part about it, and there's, you can see
you take
people.
Pride in it. You should.
I do, and people are a little tense at first, and even if you've spoken with them via email, on the phone, they know you're coming. There's always that moment where You got to get out there and flex, so to speak, and just, represent, do what you want to do. I enjoy the process.
You got to earn your paycheck sometime.
Absolutely. But I guess I just enjoy the journey, man, and the process and doing what we do, just in general. Awesome. And that's really how I could say it.
I like it, man. I like it.
Yep.
So you were talking about Little Lee earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Little Lee. So if Little Lee was coming in here 13 years ago or 96 years ago, however long you've been here, what would you say to Little Lee? What would be the one message you'd want to get across to him?
Man, I think I would tell him to slow down, take your time. Don't try to rush for anyone, and don't let anyone put you in a situation where you feel rushed or you feel that you are not 100% confident at doing what you're about to do. Just slow down, man. Take things, take a step back and just, learn what you can. I probably would have done things maybe a little sooner. Maybe I wouldn't have. When these certs come up and you say, okay, well, I'm going to go get that, or I probably would have done things just a little bit sooner.
Right.
But, having said that, man, I would have definitely told the old me, Little Lee, to slow down and again, just pay attention, have attention to detail. We get so driven and ambitious, and that you gotta have the vision.
I could definitely see telling little Jordan to slow down.
Exactly, but when you came in, it's a big industry. You don't know which way you're gonna go. Me, I had a little bit of vision. I worked in a few things, different areas. I was strapping welds as an RT helper. I helped out with heat stress. Hell, I even worked in the shop for a little while. Anything they needed done. I
did.
Paid
everywhere.
I paid my dues, and then once I seen the UT being performed, I was like, I want to do what he's doing.
I like that.
And man, once I had that vision, there's nothing was gonna ever get in my way. I knew I was gonna do it, and it was always interesting. Say again?
I wish I'd had that when I started.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If I had to look back and talk to little Jordan, I'd definitely tell him to slow down.
Yeah.
That's how I got my nickname Puppy. They used to
I remember.
Run around like a little lost puppy running through the plant. I was doing everything. I just couldn't slow down long enough to do it right.
Nature of the beast, man. We get so busy and you're trying to toggle, all kind of things and not stay true to that vision and what you want to do. It's easy to get sidetracked and pulled. And look, let's be honest here as well. When it comes to, managers putting you on certain jobs, sometimes it may not be where you want to be at. It may not be the job that you want to be on or the inspection that you enjoy doing. We've all had those, quote unquote hell jobs, To me, that's all part of it. And
I can think of about 100 of them now that I would gladly give back.
But that's those jobs that, molded you. And, one thing, I've heard managers say that about you, and same thing. When somebody calls you, it's where are we going? Okay, what we got? I got a project for you. There's no, hey, can you go? Can you make this? I've always had the mentality, if you call my phone, I'm going. Where you need me to go? I've been to Ghana, Israel, Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Yes,
I've been a few places.
Been all over.
I've been a few places. But it was never in question, I enjoy that part of it too, the travel. That's a whole other topic, though. We could talk about traveling. You've done some traveling yourself.
I've done some. I've certainly done some. I've gone all across this country. I've never been to Israel. I was supposed to go to Colombia one time. It broke my heart. I didn't go. I was so devastated I didn't go. I went and got the shots, and I was looking up which streets to not go to find the cartel, and
right.
Make sure I stay away from the bad areas.
Something that sticks out in my mind, and I won't mention the company's name or anything, but when Jeremy and I were working in Israel, big,
it was a heck of a job, though.
It was big company, 2 supercritical wells, 18-inch wells we had to do phased array on. Supplying Israel with gas. I'm not going to get into too much of their details.
Like all of Israel?
Well, actually, to even comment on that, it's
it's a little much, right? I got you.
They're very, very.
Suffice it to say that it was serious.
It was very serious and critical, and there's a lot of privacy policies in place about that place. But I will say this. That job was, like I said, 2 supercritical wells, big, huge oil company. We're a fairly big company ourselves. We got 2 phase array techs out there, all the bells and whistles, a whole bag of tricks, extra SD cards. We're ready to rock, and we get out there, and when you travel, it is what stands out in my mind. You've been to Rouse's before, and you went to go make a gumbo, right? And you get out there, and you don't feel like chopping up your onions and all that stuff. What you do? You go buy
Go get some Guidrys.
the little Guidrys, right? Well, speaking of that,
I'm not above buying Guidrys.
okay, so what do you think our coupling bucket was when we were out in Israel? And I have a picture with the company rep and Jeremy and I with 2 thumbs up. We had checked the first well and it was good. And, you know, our old supply guy, that's, you know, when you're traveling and whatnot, hey, that's what he had at the time. And, you know, always laugh about it because he could have sent a Magnaflux box.
I send people home with leftovers with them all the time.
It was just kind of funny, but it made me realize, you know, a lot of times when you're doing it, you got to make do with what you got. It wasn't that he couldn't have sent a bucket. We got a bunch of those. I maybe even think he did it as a little joke to put a little piece of Louisiana in it.
Certainly made me laugh.
I know, but that's always something. You know, it's resting on the pipe, a little Guidry's clear thing there, and we made our own couplet, and it always sticks out in my mind. But the high profile job over there, it kind of took the edge off, and everybody had a laugh about it. You know, the company man was from New Zealand, and he was definitely got a. What is that? That's awesome. You know, oh, I love me some gumbo. You know,
yeah.
When you're traveling
Who doesn't
like that,
love gumbo?
I know, but when you're traveling like that, you know, it was always good to get a little piece of home right there. I thought it was kind of funny, but that always stuck out with me.
That was nice, man. Think about it, man. Of all this time, we've definitely gone some places and done some things, but that's pretty fun. Going all the way to Israel with a bucket full of Guidry's coming.
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
You've just listened to the Done Right podcast by NVI. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to access our episodes. Be sure to visit our website at nvindt.com to access show notes and discover more podcast topics. For topic suggestions and comments, please email sclement@nvindt.com. That is sclement@nvindt.com. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay safe.